So snacking and eating out with diabetes. So my name is Andrea Nicolai, and I work for the University of Florida in the extension in Polk County here. So I work partially by the university and then partially with the county, and so working together, but just teaching in our county right here. So I'm special for Polk County. And if you're listening today outside of the county, I am really grateful to have you. It's kind of a great thing about being able to do them online then. So that's what I do. I teach nutrition and food and chronic disease classes all around. And so today, if you're not familiar with Zoom, you can kind of, here's what you will see. But there is, on the bottom, there are these different controls. Usually they're on the bottom. If you kind of hover your mouse over the bottom of the screen, they should show up. But you can see like mute or unmute and then stop video. You also see a chat. And so if you don't see it, it might be under the more dot. But if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to type them in the chat and I'll try to watch that too, so that I can answer those. And if you have any comments, feel free also. And it's nice because sometimes I can look at the chats at the end or, yeah, just to see like what you were thinking. And so I have an evaluation right after this. I'll send that out to you as soon as I can so that you can just click on it and fill it out. It's just a couple of questions, but it really helps me to figure out, how I can better serve you guys. So just, if you're like, I didn't even get that from this person, you know what I mean? So that would be good to know. So the goals for today, just figuring out the most important goal if you have diabetes. Look at the MyPlate and identify foods that raise your blood sugar, and then figure out some quick, easy snacks, and then kind of go through what would you choose in the vending machine or at a gas station, because sometimes those are the harder ones. And then what would you choose when you're eating out? So figuring out some eating out strategies. So these will be good for everybody. Okay, so this is good. All right, so most important goal, right? Okay, so if you have diabetes, is to keep your blood sugar at even ranges. So if you don't have diabetes, your body can handle it by itself. If you ate an entire cake, and if you don't have diabetes, your body would, you'd be like, whoa, but it's going to be able to handle it okay, and you're still, going to be healthy and things like that. So with diabetes, though, it can be really hard for your body to manage that. And so there's all this sugar in the blood, and just at one time, and just with diabetes, you already have trouble with that. So then it's just kind of overriding the system. So your goal is to try to keep it even. So just using that analogy, I guess, if you have diabetes, it would be better for you to eat, if you wanted to eat the entire cake, to eat it throughout the day instead, because you want to give your body, the small amount of carbohydrates over the day instead of all at one time. So that's kind of the difference. And then, so it's better for people who don't have diabetes to do the same thing, but if just with diabetes, it's even more important, if that makes sense. So how can you balance your blood sugar? So if you have diabetes and it's going out of control, where you sometimes get really high and then low, the three things that make up it, how, high or low, it's what you eat, your activity, and then your medication if needed. Okay, so it's huge, like what you eat. And meal planning lets you, take control of this, and so that you can eat good tasting foods and that you can keep your blood sugar even. So that's why I love to talk about this, because what you eat has such a big impact. You can do a lot. So what part of what you eat has the biggest impact on your blood glucose? And I gotta tell you too, so blood glucose, if your doctor ever says that, or you see it on that slide there, it means the same thing as blood sugar, okay? So those two are the same. So do you know, what has the biggest impact? So does anyone want to, if you're unmuted, do you want to guess? Or if you'd like to type it in the chat box, what part of what you eat? Does anyone know?
Carbs.
Yes, you are right. It's the carbohydrates, okay? So these are the things that affect your blood sugar the most out of what you eat. Okay, so you might wonder, what food has carbohydrates? Okay, so foods that have carbohydrates. So you might automatically think of, breads and pastas and things like that. They have carbohydrates. You're like, it's the starchy stuff. And so you're right, but look at all these other things that have it too, okay? So it's also, it's in the bread, it's in crackers, any sort of grains like that have it. So then starchy vegetables, they also have it. And so there, if you think about it, corn, it's a grain too. So corn is a vegetable, but a grain. And then so it does have carbohydrates. So peas also do, potatoes, and then beans. And so, these are foods I would say that if you have diabetes, just pay attention to, because these are the ones that you can control the amount you eat, because that will help keep your blood sugar even. So, so they're also in fruits and fruit juice, right? And milk and yogurt. Sometimes we forget that one, but also in that one too. And it's not like they don't add sugar. If you get plain yogurt, there's no sugar added, but it just naturally has some sugar from the milk. Cow produces sugar in his milk. So candy, cake, and ice cream, that might be obvious, like candy is going to raise your blood sugar, but it has carbohydrates. So sugar is a carbohydrate, and that's why. So anything with sugar is a carbohydrate. And then sugary drinks then, because they have sugar. So fruit drinks and sodas, all those things have carbohydrates. So if you eat any of those, they in theory would raise your blood sugar. Okay, and it kind of matters what you eat them with, which is what we'll talk about, but just it's a lot of the foods, and some people, I've used to work in a hospital, but she was like, well, I'm just gonna cut out all my carbohydrates then, just so I don't have to worry about it. And so, you can try to do that, but the thing is you're missing out of a lot of nutrients that are in those things. They're very important, and we're just learning, even with people with low carb diets, if you do it for a long time, you have to be really careful, because there's a lot of vitamins and nutrients in those foods that are out there. Maybe not so much the sugary drinks and the cake and things like that, but all those other ones, like the starchy vegetables and whole grains, beans, excellent for you. So I guess, so what I'm trying to say is you need these foods too. And the thing is, carbohydrates give you energy. It's your best source of energy, which is why, why we like them, especially if you get like tired and stuff like that. That's kind of sometimes why you look for sugar, because it gives you the quicker energy. So just, these are foods that your brain can use the best for energy when you're having trouble, when you're really hungry, you're like, oh no. So, that's why these foods are important. It helps you be able to run and things like that. So that's why you need them still, okay? So, all right, so foods with carbohydrates. So here's just a general picture, kind of sometimes a visual is better, but just, looking at it, we have cereal, we have like juices, we have the starchy vegetables. You see it up in the front, there's the peas and potatoes. Then we have some sweets off to the side there. They have that too, sodas, juices, and then beans. And, especially like in that picture, they're the Bush's beans. So they'd have even more carbohydrate because they have added sugar. So sugar is another one. And then the bread too. So that has carbohydrates. So you might wonder, well, okay, that's like everything. What am I supposed to eat to balance that then? And so which foods don't raise your blood sugar, right? So that would be these foods. So meats and meat substitutes, such as like eggs and cheese, and then fats and oils. These foods, like, in theory, if I gave Beverly or Shelby an entire block of bacon, okay, I gave it to them and I checked their blood sugar before they ate it, and then they ate the whole thing of bacon, and I checked it afterwards, in theory, their blood sugar wouldn't really go up much. Okay, same with all these other foods. So they might have a very small amount. No, really none. Very, very, very small, if anything. And so these foods, protein, and then like fats and oils, sometimes like eggs, just helping to balance that out, or a piece of chicken or fish, things like that. And then there's a whole nother group that doesn't raise your blood sugar very much, and they do a little bit, but only if you eat them in larger amounts, and that is the non-starchy vegetables, okay? So, all right. So here, I don't know if I got that up, but yeah. So it's the meat substitutes and then things like that. And so here's just the non-starchy vegetables, right? So these foods, little impact on the blood sugar levels, and they're filled with a ton of vitamins. And so it's like using these foods, like those non-starchy vegetables, especially because these guys are really low in calories, right? That they also help you feel full. And each of those different colors there gives you different vitamins and minerals, okay? So it help you feel your best and help your body work the best and digest everything. And you know, they can really help with weight loss too. So there's like a ton of benefits to these. So when you have a plate then, if you could try to balance out your starchy stuff, like we talked about the carbohydrates, with these non-starchy vegetables or like these other foods, then you'll help keep your blood sugar even, okay? Okay, so that's kind of the general outline of that. But so I don't know if you guys know, but in school right now, instead of the pyramid, they're teaching the kids about the MyPlate. So that's on the left. And so in general, that's kind of, you know, just trying to get half of your plate fruits and vegetables. And then on the right side, that is if you have diabetes, it's the best way to go. And then also if you're looking to lose any weight or you just want to eat really healthy, that would be excellent for you also. So non-starchy vegetables, so you want to take half of your plate, right, and fill them with non-starchy vegetables. So if you guys get nothing out of today, this one thing will help you a ton when you're eating out or when you're having snacks, but just try to think of half of what you're eating. If you could make it non-starchy vegetables, that will help you a ton because it'll balance out whatever you decide to have on the other side. Okay, so there's better things for each of those food groups, but really just trying to keep those non-starchy vegetables. So that's all those things okay, so non-starchy vegetables would be everything but the potatoes, the peas, the corn, and the beans. So there are a lot of vegetables. So usually in my classes, I just have you guys yell them out, and I realize that it's probably not so easy to do. But just thinking about if you want to type some in the chat box, but you know, it's everything from spinach to asparagus, broccoli, cauliflower, onions, peppers, tomatoes, any sort of the greens, like leafy greens and things like that, onions, okra, Swiss chard, sugar snap peas would be actually 1 yard long beans if you like those, water chestnuts, you know, coleslaw, all those things would be non-starchy, okay? All right, so we got the plate. So the goal is when you go out to eat and when you're eating, then to fill half of your plate with the non-starchy stuff and then fill a fourth of it with something like the starchy things like the potato, the pasta, corn, rice, or beans, and then a fourth of it with some sort of lean protein. So maybe that's your fish, your chicken, your eggs, your tofu, and then you could have a glass of milk or a piece of fruit. And you know, if you didn't want the glass of milk and piece of fruit, you could save those for snacks then later. That could be, you know, a good snack. And so just trying to kind of vary what you're eating with the different food groups to get all the nutrients you need. And so sometimes if you don't want to have a fruit, you know, maybe you could just have some extra pasta because that starch there and the fruit and the dairy are the three things that would raise your blood sugar. So you can kind of exchange them however you'd like. So if you want a lot of fruit at your meal, maybe don't have any rice and maybe don't have any potatoes, but have some extra fruit. So if you can kind of see how you could do that, just exchange them out. But but I think the bottom line, you know, just, you know, we only have an hour today. And so just trying to look at what your plate and seeing if it's at least half vegetables, that would be a good way to go. And if there's no vegetables, you know, just trying to get some. All right. Okay. So just eating more of these. So in general, just for nutrition, for your health, would be to eat more vegetables and fruits, nuts and seeds, beans and lentils, and whole grains. And we know that most people in America die of heart disease, okay? So, and then most people with diabetes also die of heart disease. So they don't die from diabetes, they die from heart disease. So all these foods will help prevent heart disease, okay? So that's why I guess I'm, harping on them a little bit more. So snacks then, so kind of getting to the more fun part, but they're a great opportunity to fit in some of those foods we just talked about that you might not get enough of. So like whole grains or fruits or vegetables. And then if you have a carbohydrate, try to have like that carbohydrate with something else to help keep your blood sugar even. So having like a carbohydrate with something that doesn't have carbohydrate can help your blood sugar not go up as much. So you can think of it as combo snacks. So you think about a food that has carbohydrate like crackers, or here I have yogurt. And so, balancing it out with something that doesn't have carbohydrates. So maybe I could mix some nuts in my yogurt or something like that. Or here, what I was actually trying to show on the slide is that, blueberries have carbohydrates, and then the yogurt would have some carbohydrates too, but it also has the protein, right? So yogurt in itself can be a good snack for a diabetic because it has some carbohydrate and it has some protein. So, but just trying to show you how you can mix the two together, keep your blood sugar even. So that was a bad kind of example on the side there, but you get the idea a little bit maybe. So just looking at the different groups, you can try to mix them up together, okay? So it's like I could take something like string cheese and maybe I could have it with some nuts, or I could have a hard cooked egg with some cherry tomatoes, or you could have some graham crackers and spread peanut butter on them. So just trying to take the two food groups and put them together then, that would be a good way to go. So putting maybe cottage cheese, putting some fruit in it if you wanted. And so you can kind of choose the things together. So here's some examples for you. Just thinking about like dried fruit and almonds, right? Chicken noodle soup could be one because you have the chicken in there and you have the noodles in there. So it's kind of balancing each other out. And then grapes and string cheese, blueberries, Greek yogurt. And the Greek yogurt would have more protein than the other regular yogurt. So that's why sometimes that one can be even better, especially for diabetes. And so milk by itself could be a good snack because it has some natural sugar, but it has some protein too. So just even a glass of milk. And crackers with tuna, veggies, and hummus or dip like that. Apples and peanut butter, and then like an open-faced turkey sandwich. You could have that too, not too much bread, but you take like one piece of bread, pile your turkey and your vegetables on that. That could be a good idea. So vending machine or gas station snack ideas. Okay, so if anybody can talk, or if you'd like to put it in the chat box, if anybody can give me what they think might be a good vending machine or gas station snack idea. So if you walked into a gas station or you're confronted with a vending machine and you're starving, what are some healthier options do you think that you might be able to find there? Anybody can talk?
Fruit or peanut butter crackers?
Yeah, so what did you say for the first one?
Fruit.
Fruit, yes, that would be an
Or
excellent
at least
one.
at a convenience store, you can usually find a fruit, like a banana, an apple, or an orange.
Yes, very true. And some of them, I have to say, they might have been sitting there a while, but it's worth a check, okay? And some of them are, I don't know if you guys have been to Racetrack lately, or what's the other one? Like 7-Eleven, right? Is that the one I'm thinking of? But they just have some great options. Okay, yeah, nuts and almonds. Excellent. That would be a really good one. Dried fruit could be good too. Um, Peanut butter crackers, yes, you have to be careful sometimes. You have to watch the sugar and the fat on some of those, but they would be better options because they would have the cracker and the protein together. So they'd be a lot better for you than picking up just a plain thing of crackers. So good call. I know a lot of people like those cheese crackers too. Just make sure with those, I
processed.
guess if you could get actual cheese and then get some crackers, you could be better off that way. Um, they put a lot of extra stuff in sometimes with that cheese and crackers and peanut butter and crackers. So you guys have good answers. Okay, thank you. Thank you for responding. Yeah, so fruit I would say would be a great one. I've also seen some of these. Okay, so just thinking like the nuts, I would say if I were starving on a road trip, that would be probably my go-to, just because it would give me that protein to help me feel full, um, and also just yeah, some healthy fats too. And I could choose that if I like if I had the option to put that with some fruit, I would love that. So that would be for me because that would give me some carbohydrate energy and then something to balance it
What's the
out.
thing on the
But
right?
things like popcorn and cheese sticks could be really good options too. So remembering those things when you're kind of going out, and sunflower seeds, they're in that too. So that would be a good one. Okay, so vending machine. If you guys don't mind typing in the chat, or if you'd like to just speak again, what do you guys think on a vending machine? I guess probably the same things, but there's no fruit, right?
No, there's no fruit.
No fruit at all. Yeah.
That's
What
why I
would you
suggested
do?
peanut butter crackers.
Yeah, out of here, I would say probably the best of the best would be yes, there are some nuts. I see those down there. I don't know if you guys can see those second row at the bottom. But peanut butter crackers or nuts, I would say, would be probably your better choices there. And if you were going to choose a candy, for a diabetic, something like the peanut M&Ms would be better than the regular M&Ms, just because they would have some of that protein from the peanuts. You guys kind of see where I'm going with that, just a little bit, just trying to get the closest to those real foods as you can. Okay.
Oh, the vending machine struggle is so real because I don't eat just straight candy and chips anymore. So it's really heartening when you do find one. There's things you can eat. And the city of Largo and the rec centers, I went by one and I was like happy because I actually saw like healthy choices and things. Because when I said dry fruit, they have like freeze dried apples and stuff. So it's literally just fruit in the package. You're like, whew.
That's that is awesome. Every once in a while I see one like that. I'm just like, thank you. Here's one that I was just gonna show you guys. It had some things like that were actually better options. It was in Gainesville and it had that the nuts. It had its granola bar. It was way better than a Snickers, right? And then at the bottom you can kind of see. Like I would definitely take those pistachios there, right? They're just nuts. They probably have salt, but way better than other options. Or that wholesome medley, two things over from that, um, could be just better things. But yeah, like the dried fruit, sometimes you can get those little cups. But anyway, so in general, if you can pack your own snacks, you'd be really good, just so you don't have to worry about that. Okay,
Okay.
so
Nice.
let's try then. And you guys kind of did this, I guess, but just thinking of a snack for you. If anybody wants to yell out or just put in the chat
Oh,
box what you
I
could do
know.
to have a combination snack. So like Beverly or Denise, if you guys were out and you were gonna grab something, if you could try to choose something, what two food groups, right? Or Mike, what would you do? Trying to get two food groups. Okay, almonds and yogurt, that would be an excellent one.
I would
Um,
say celery and peanut butter. That's what I gave my dad.
yeah, that would be excellent. Celery and peanut butter would be a really good one.
Hummus and carrots.
Yes, hummus and carrots. I don't know, you guys.
Oh, come
Yeah,
on. There's lots of choices out there.
for sure. Ton. Whole grain crackers and cheese. You guys are great. So I actually just yesterday I came on one. It's have you guys ever heard of the chickpea cookie dough? So that one would also be a combination snack. So what you do is you take a can of chickpeas and then you mix it with a half cup of peanut butter. Okay, you guys with me? And then you can put in some vanilla and you can throw in some chocolate chips if you like, but you mix that together then, and you don't have to bake it, you can just eat it. And so that would be a combination snack, right? Because it has the peanut butter and it has the beans, which would give you the protein, and the peanut butter would give you protein, and the beans would give you some carbohydrate. So yeah, so it is, it's really good actually. I've kind of worked on it, adding a little bit of oatmeal and starting to bake it, but they can be really delicious cookies. You can have a lot of fun with that. Okay, so then eating out quick, okay? So you guys have been great. Thank you for going along with me. And so just eating out, then you want to think about the same thing. So you guys are getting this, right? So just a half of what you eat, if you could make it non-starchy vegetables, that would be the way to go, okay? So if you give, if you have somebody you're caring for with diabetes, trying to find them something on the menu with a ton of vegetables to help balance out that starch then would be better, okay? So just the keys to eating out then, planning ahead when you can, making sure to ask for what you want and taking charge of what's around you, and then choosing your foods carefully, okay? They're kind of the things, but planning ahead can be really great. If you can look up like the nutrition facts and look up, what's on that menu, it can help you prepare. Did you guys know there's been studies done that you're swayed by what other people order? So if everyone orders before you and they get unhealthy things, you're way less likely to get a healthy thing yourself. So if you know what you want and you're like, I'm bound and determined, I don't want to change my answer, order first, because then you're less likely to change. Because if everyone before you gets, Alfredo and you were going to get just like a salad, you might change your mind, and there are studies that show that you do. Okay, so just trying to look at then menu signals, right? So these can help you, like high fat, high sodium. What would indicate that to you? And so just some menu keywords, right? So these are things you can look at on a menu to help you figure out, kind of like interpret it, I guess. So it's probably high fat if it says it's fried, deep fried, battered. Alfredo would be high fat because it's made up of butter and cheese and cream, okay? And so cream cheese, if it's smothered, usually that means, want to stay away from. I always think of crispy, creamy would be the two. If it says like creamy, whatever, you're like, oh. And a lot of cheese too can equal a lot of fat. So lower fat words then, any of these things would probably mean that it's done a lower fat way. So if you see something and it's stir fried, or if it's poached or sauteed, if it's roasted, if it's grilled. So if they ask you, pan-seared, low fat, broiled, boiled, how would you like your shrimp? Or how do you want your chicken prepared? So just trying to pick any of the ones on the right side, if these are options, would be better ones, okay? So like thinking, grilled, you're always, way better. Or roasted or boiled, just in water. Poached, it's boiled in some sort of water or liquid, I guess. So those can be better. Okay, so restaurant questions you might want to ask, how is this prepared? If you're not sure, they'll tell you. And, you can even ask if it has a lot of cheese, cream. Sometimes it's hard to tell with things like soups. You're like, is that creamy or is that, more broth-based? Because you want to choose the broth-based ones, right? So just things like, could I have it grilled or baked instead? I think that's probably one of the bigger ones. Just asking something like that, even if you can do that, or may I have this dressing on the side, can make a huge difference. And is there another way I could have this dish prepared? Maybe we could do the same foods, just prepare it a little different. And then having, vegetables on the side instead of a starch. I think just even those, like asking it, if you could get it baked or grilled, and then asking for vegetables instead of like fries or something like that, those can make a huge difference, okay? Okay, and so here's like where we were, right? You remember 1950s, I just watched that movie that about the founder of McDonald's not that long ago, but just, it was so interesting, watching the people eat, back in, the 1950s, but it's just a normal small hamburger. They were all happy. What happened? I don't know. So just sharing a meal then. So usually we get about double the portions. So if you can, if there's something that you really want and it's maybe not the healthiest thing for you, just maybe you could try sharing it, or, asking it for a to-go box right away. Some people have told me that they do that, or they ask, for them to box half of it up even in the back before they even see it. Because something that you see on your plate you're more likely to eat it. Okay, so you're like, your mind is thinking, eat till this plate is gone. So sometimes your stomach, you don't listen to that, and you listen to what's on what the food looks like. So checking your portions, but looking at the nutrition facts of menu items, can really help you. I was in Ruby Tuesdays, and they might have changed it since then, but just they had a turkey burger, and I was gonna order that, but it had a lot of calories, and I was really surprised. It turns out, just maybe a normal burger would have been a better option, but you don't know that unless you look at the nutrition facts. And then choosing, oil and vinaigrette dressings, or trying to get them on the side, and choosing lunch side portions, and then definitely choosing calorie-free drinks, because that drink can add up to your meal really, really quick. So if you like sugary drinks, if you can just switch to a medium or a small, and eventually, save your money and not, just get water, that would be awesome. Like, that would be single best thing you could do for yourself or for anybody else. Just less of the sweetened drinks. Okay, there's nothing good for you in there, and it just can raise your blood sugar like you wouldn't believe, and ton of calories. Okay, so if you can help anyone with that, if they're willing to listen to you, that would be a good one. All right, so here's some just different smarter choices then, right? So in general, like trying to get the side salad or the fruit, and you can order that. I don't know if you guys knew that at Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, they have apple fries, so you can get those instead. So you just, say, can I sub that? They just, that's, just ask. And so then English muffin would be better options for breakfast, yogurt parfait, whole grain toast, way better than like the pancakes with syrup, okay? And you want to try to look for things like turkey or even hamburger, Canadian bacon instead of the bacon or the sausage. So you always want the English muffin instead of the biscuit, okay, if there's an option. And croissants also. So just watch the salad dressings, I guess, but just piling on the vegetables when you can, okay? So another thing would be to beware of the sauce, right? And so sometimes it's like, with this sauce, and you're like, okay. And so it's great, but a lot of times the sauce can have just a lot of calories by itself. So just for example, I was looking up the nutrition facts of a Big Mac. And so there's a Big Mac sauce that they put on there automatically, and that has 90 calories. Okay, so that is equal, like a hamburger patty at McDonald's is 100 calories. So they add the sauce itself is almost like another burger itself. So just, I guess, thinking about that, and just, if you can just ask for the sauce on the side, because then you can control how much you put on there, okay? So if it says with creamy something, just be like, can I have that on the side? So just a key thing there. So tips then, ordering food to go, like what these people did, and then you could, add a salad at your house or something like that. Avoid buffets, because we're tempted by a lot of different foods. It's really easy. You want to try a little of everything, and so that's why those can be really hard. And then stick with a light menu or lunch menu, or share, and then don't be afraid to special order. And remember the big picture too. Sometimes, like, I know my mom, she loves Alfredo, and she, she's like, okay, I only get this, very few times, and she'll try to save like a little bit for another time, or split it with maybe my sister who likes Alfredo also. And so that's, something that you can do. And then just trying to balance it out. So maybe having it over a couple meals, or having them, just every once in a while. So remembering the big picture. So it's not like just one day, it's not gonna, but just if you keep eating that way, that's when you get in trouble. Okay. All right, so just looking at these two options then, I just wanted to show you a couple things, couple menus. Then we'll wrap it up here, but just if you guys look at the difference in the calories there. You can have two of the meals on the right side, and you still have way less than on the left side. Or not way less, but yeah, I mean, it's less. and like the fat too, just yeah, it makes quite a difference. So looking at that stuff, and then check out this. So it's some different things from like Taco Bell or Subway or McDonald's, right? So if you're looking at the carbohydrates, because those would be the things that can raise your blood sugar, just things like Subway can be a really healthy option, but that bread right there, so 15 grams of carbohydrates is equal to 1 slice of bread. So if you're looking at that, that that's 6 inches about equal to 3 slices of bread. Same with the Big Mac too. So just kind of keeping that in mind, then just knowing that, kind of a lot. So being careful with that. So it could be better off doing it that way. And I have to say too, yeah, that's that. So let's just try going to a restaurant here. So I just wanted to show you some sample menus, okay? So we pulled these, and so this can kind of give you an idea of where you're at different restaurants, okay? So just looking at the difference in things like, comparing the medium versus the small fries, or the Big Mac versus the cheeseburger, things like that. It's interesting, like I think with like McChicken and the grilled chicken, the thing I noticed the most would be like the fat is the difference, because you're frying it or not. But just even hell, so cutting out the tea, or even just trying to get a smaller fries, things like that can make quite a difference. Okay, and then here, just kind of showing the 2 meals again. You can either get the Big Mac or you can get a cheeseburger, right? So showing those 2 options. And then here's a Subway. And I guess for Subway, especially if you're diabetic, I just wanted to point out, sometimes you have to watch the saturated fat. Some of the subs, like the meatball marinara or even the tuna one, they can have a lot of fat. So just, if you're at home, you could add lower calorie mayonnaise, but here they don't. And so that's why you sometimes have to watch it. And sometimes, people are like, well, I get the wrap instead. But the wrap has even more carbohydrates than those breads. And the flatbread is about equal. So just if you do go to Subway, that can be just interesting to know. So just, deciding what you want. And like probably the best is if you get it chopped. They do chopped salads. So they'll chop everything up that you want on a salad. It's really good. Mix it all together. So Subway salad could be a good way to go. So here's Olive Garden. So this one's kind of fun to look at, just looking at, it's kind of interesting, Caesar salad. Sometimes people are like, well, I got the Caesar salad, that's a better option. But it does have a lot of fat in that. There's a creamy dressing on there and the cheese and croutons usually, right? So just sometimes, you got to be careful. There can definitely be an unhealthy salad also. So I think, spaghetti with the red sauce would be a great way to go. And I think they even have zucchini noodles. I know they have them, or squash noodles at Ruby Tuesdays. One of those has them. And I'm pretty sure Olive Garden has some too. And Olive Garden also has a whole wheat pasta option, which would raise your blood sugar less quickly. So that could be good. Okay, so then here's Pizza Hut. So just quick thing there then. Just obviously thin crust would be the way to go. And then trying to choose healthier meats when you can, okay, for your heart. So that would be like the Canadian bacon or the hamburger, or, just getting veggie pizza, right? Would be great. Add extra sauce, less cheese. Okay, and then here's just a picture of kind of a way you could do it. Kind of, the one on the left would have a lot of carbohydrates, but you could be kind of get that craving for that pasta satisfied and then go lower. All right, so just a recap here. It's looking at the menu signals then to try to figure out what you could do to choose healthier options, and then be friendly and assertive. Ask, can I get that fish, grilled or baked or boiled or any other way, usually they'll be happy to try their best to help you, reach your goals also. So I think those are the main things that I wanted to point out for you today. And so I'm gonna send that evaluation, and if you guys would do that, I would love it. I really appreciate your feedback. And then I don't have any other classes. This is the last one that I have scheduled right now coming up. I have a couple more, I think, on Eventbrite, but I'm going to be adding within this next week a bunch more. So please look for that, okay? I'll try to send that out to you guys with context. And here are some things I used for my slides. So Linda Bobroff and Wendy Lynch, and then Penn State helped me with those menu options. Also the Heart Association, and then the cancer place. So does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask? And yeah, Hillary definitely will email you that. Thank you. If anybody has any questions, they can put in the chat box if they'd like. Otherwise, I just, that's all I have for you today. And
Don't
thank
have a
you so
question.
much.
I just want to say thank you, because I always really enjoy your trainings, and it's nice and it's refreshing, because you know it's a trying time with everything on the screens, but I look forward to them when you host them, so I'm hoping to see more of them. Thank you.
Well, thanks. Is there any specific topic you'd like to hear more on? I'm
Oh
in the
my
middle of scheduling, so now's your chance.
Oh, that's a really good question. Maybe more of the fad diet things, like how people with the keto and stuff. I don't know if there's any new evidence come out, but I have friends that try that, and I've seen where, like, for the short term at least, it's been beneficial for them. But you know, maybe something on obesity too. I just watched that Weight of the Nation, and it was like really hard to get through, but it's important to know about it.
I have a class called like Eat This Now Boot Camp. That could be a fun one.
Okay.
She's like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Well, I already eat pretty healthy. You know, my friends stare at me because I've been ordering salad dressing on the side for years, and I quit sodas back in college. So, you
That's
know,
good. I
yeah.
have to just say quick, you guys, I used to work one-on-one with people more instead of teaching classes. So like, if you had a problem, you know, you could come in and see me. And I work with kids and their families. But the biggest difference would be when they change the drinks. It's like if the kids or the parents would stop buying the sweet drinks, the whole family would lose weight. It was crazy. And it was like a lot, you know, it just, they were like, the only thing I did is cut out drinks. But just that, yeah, they could add a lot really quickly. So
It does. I lost a ton of weight, and that's the only thing I did different was I stopped drinking those. So,
crazy, isn't it?
yeah, empty calories.
Yeah. Well, I really thank you guys all. Thank you so much. I'll end now, and I'll try to get you the survey before you forget and won't do it for me. So I'll look for that for you guys. I really thank you guys all for joining today. So I know some of you guys haven't been able to talk much, but hope you're enjoying it, and I really hope to see you at another class. So thank you guys. I hope you have a good day. Happy Friday.
Yay! Holiday weekend.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.